Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the games. Today we're going to be going over the destruction single target build that I'm currently using, the trinkets I'm using, the rotation, and overall how to play it and how to do good sustain numbers, because we are going to be running Roaring Blaze. Basically, we're also going to be running the Chaos Incarnate node as well. It seems pretty decent, and out of every other node that you could probably put this trait in, um, I did some testing with Backlash to see if the 3% crit was better. And even at low mastery values, the Chaos Incarnate node seems to be better, so we're just going to be playing this for now. We're also going to Soulfire with a Decimation and Ruin, so we have an Execute, but in this video, the Execute won't be shown, so we won't actually see the real raw value of the Execute, but that's fine. This is just a see what it looks like, numbers, values, see what the breakdown is, and after that I'll go over the trinkets, the stat prio, and what you should use. Alright, let's get into it. So since we're sitting in the talent tree currently, we're going to go over all of the talents just so everyone knows, just in case you're a new Warlock player, you know, you're trying to get into Warlock and you don't understand how everything works. I'm going to try my best to explain and synergize everything so you kind of get a little peek into what's going on here. So we're going to be starting off with the Chaos Bolt. We're going to be picking up Reverse Entropy. Basically, it gives you a pretty substantial amount of haste for 8 seconds. It has like I think it's a 1.5 procs per minute. So the uptime's not too bad. It's about 20% overall in like a fight. Going to be running Conflagrate, Havoc. It's kind of funny because in a pure single target situation, you wouldn't actually be using this ever, but you kind of have to in order to actually take all of these. As you can see, if I take the point out, it won't let me choose anything else. You could also take Rain of Fire, but Rain of Fire is also useless on pure single target. So either way, you have to choose one pointless node just to get into further down the tree. But other than that, we'll be going Explosive Potential. This reduces the cooldown of Conflag, so you can keep the uptime of Roaring Blaze up higher, which I think at higher haste values this will be 100% uptime regardless, but at low haste values it's a little difficult because you'll have like a second or so of downtime. But as long as you can have a flashpoint proc of haste, or if you have reverse entropy procking, your haste value will be high enough to where Conflag will line up to the 8-second mark of Roaring Blaze. We'll be taking Soulfire. Basically a big nuke, and it applies Immolate for you. The damage that this does with Roaring Blaze debuff on is actually pretty crazy, and then it also stacks up with the Eradication, so like I was getting about 200k Soulfire crits, which is pretty massive. And then we're also going to be taking Channel Demon Fire. I hated this talent at first, but as I've kind of played around with it and you know, just kind of got used to it, it's actually not that bad to play around. Just always got to make sure that you have an Immolate on a target so you don't, you know, make it to where you're not able to use the spell. And then you also want to make sure that when you do use a spell that you have Roaring Blaze applied to your target that you're channeling on. So if you don't, you're going to miss about 25% of overall damage from all your bolts, which is about 30 to 40k damage loss in one channel. We'll also be taking Raging Demon Fire, which is basically amplifying the amount of Fellfire bolts that proc, and also extends your Immolate on the target for each bolt hit by 0.5 seconds. Flashpoint, this is good. It loses all value after the boss drops below 80%, but to be honest, there's not much else you can take here, and you have to take this in order to get to Ashen Remains, and you also have to take it for Eradication. These two talents right here are very useless on a pure single target scenario. You would never actually use these anywhere ever on like a mythic boss with the DPS check like a Patchwork, so we're skipping over these for now. Backlash is good, but the problem is that you have to take Cry Havoc or Pandemonium, and on single target these are very, very bad. If you did not know this, if you Havoc a single target mob and then you pick Cry Havoc, it will actually Cry Havoc the Havoc target on single target. It does very minuscule damage. Definitely not worth using 2 points for, but I just thought I'd let you guys know. We'll also be taking Diabolic Embers. We'll be taking Ruin, which just basically increases damage of Conflag, General Demon Fighter, Shadowburn, and Soulfire by 20%. We'll be taking Madness of Ajikir, which when you weave in your Chaos Bolts, it's just making it cast 20% quicker and also deal 25% more damage for 4 seconds. Power Overwhelming. This talent is interesting. It's not too bad, but I don't think it's that good for being this far down in the tree. It's definitely decent. Basically, the best use of this is when you have Crashing Chaos and Infernal down. You can spam bolts and basically get about 12% increased mastery before this drops. And over the fight duration, you're going to average around 3 to 4% mastery increase from this node, so it's not too bad. And then what amplifies this is actually the Chaos Incarnate node, which makes it to where your mastery is at full value every time instead of randomized. If you do not know, on the Destruction Mastery, it basically makes it to where the top layer is your first half of your mastery, and then the bottom layer is the other half of your mastery. So mastery will always increase your damage by a random percent at the top, but at the bottom it's random, so it'll randomly deal up to 15.3% increased damage, but you could get screwed over and it could do 2% additional damage, 9% additional damage. So basically what this node does is it makes it always give you the maximum benefit for your Chaos Bolt. So this is actually increasing Chaos Bolt damage by 31% instead of 15.3% plus the random number from 1% all the way up to 15.3%. So it's definitely a big gain to Chaos Bolt damage, and I think for an id node it's not too bad. So we'll be running that for this build as well. And then we'll be taking Grand Warlock's design. Like I said, Reign of Chaos in the other video makes it to where your 3-minute build feels really clunky. I don't like it because it just doesn't feel very impactful. So we're not going to be taking Reign of Chaos for this build. I'm just going to go over to the original Warlock node area over here. For damage, we're going to be taking Demonic Inspiration. It's going to help your pet do a little bit more damage. Not really, it's not that much, but like it's not too bad. And then we're going to be taking Wrathful Minion, which is basically going to increase the damage done by your primary pet by 5% for 8 seconds, which like it isn't like super impactful, but you know, it's a little bit extra damage from your pet and you can't really complain. We'll also be taking Grimoire Synergy. The uptime on this is pretty decent. It averages to about 5% overall increased damage for you and about 5% overall increased damage for your pet. So it's another damage node that we'll be taking. Soul Conduit is very huge for this build. It's mandatory in, I would say, every single spec, Demo, Destro, and Affliction. And basically, when you spend a Soul Shard, you have a 1 out of 10 chance of each shard to generate it back. And then after the buffs to Inquisitor's Gaze and Summon Soulkeeper, these actually don't feel too bad. It's about 2% of your overall damage now instead of like 1.4, so, you know, we take those. We take those. We really do take those. And that's what we'll be running for all of the damage. Alright, let's get into the rotation, and then after the rotation I will show you guys the trinkets I'm using and the stat prio and all the good stuff. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, let's get into the rotation. So we're going to do about 3 minutes. We're going to do 2 Infernals, and I'm not going to be running any potions, any flasks, nothing. We're just going to go full dry mode, raw, and just going to show you like how the rotation is. We don't really care about numbers right now. I'll show you the breakdown of everything, and yeah. Alright, so we're going to be starting off with a precast Soulfire. We're going to conflag so we can get it rolling off cooldown. We're going to throw Infernal with your Blood Fury or any racials that you have. You just basically want to get all of your Chaos Bolts out of the way from crashing Chaos here. And then I'm going to conflag here into a Channel Demon Fire. It's going to extend the Immolate. We're going to Incinerate. We're going to conflag again. We're going to Chaos Bolt. Get our Eradication buff back. Some Incinerates here. Gonna refresh our Roaring Blaze debuff. Okay, and we're gonna Chaos Bolt. After this, we're gonna channel Demon Fire right before Roaring Blaze falls off. Get the maximum benefit value from that there. So we're gonna build up here. We're not gonna send a Chaos Bolt. We're gonna send a Conflag into a Chaos Bolt to apply Eradication into a Soulfire. We're gonna Chaos Bolt here. Then we're gonna Conflag into a Channel Demon Fire. Then we're gonna double bolt here. Get our Shardgen off. Gonna reapply Conflag here. Gonna do a couple of Incinerates. Gonna Chaos Bolt here. Gonna Incinerate. Incinerate. We're gonna Conflag. Do a Channel Demon Fire. Right before Eradication falls off. Gonna Chaos Bolt. Incinerate. Incinerate. We're gonna reapply Roaring Blaze here. We're gonna Chaos Bolt. Incinerate. Incinerate. Roaring Blaze is falling off soon. Okay, we're gonna have an Immolate. Refresh that. We're gonna Conflag into a Channel Demon Fire. We're gonna Chaos Bolt to reapply Eradication into a Soulfire. Ooh, oh, barely missed it. That's fine. We're gonna keep incinerating here. We're gonna keep building. Eradication, need to reapply that. We're gonna Conflag. Get our Roaring Blaze back. Incinerate, Channel Demon Fire at the very end here. We're going to Incinerate. We're gonna Conflag for that. Incinerate, 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 and then we're gonna Conflag straight into Infernal here. And now we're just gonna spam bolts for our Crashing Chaos. Just keep spamming bolts. Keep spamming bolts. Gotta refresh Immolate there. Almost dropped. Gotta get that Ashen Remains value, you know what I'm saying? Okay. We're gonna Channel Demon Fire in between our Madness. Okay, and we're gonna Chaos Bolt here. We're gonna Recomplag. Now we're gonna Soulfire for that massive damage. Nope, no crit. Very sad. Okay, we're gonna Chaos Bolt into Complag. Gonna Chaos Bolt into 2 Incinerates. Go Channel Demon Fire. Should all get off before Roaring Blaze drops. It sure did. Alright, now we're gonna Bolt. Incinerate. Incinerate. We're gonna Recomplag before Roaring Blaze drops. Get that Eradication going back. Okay, now we're gonna Incinerate. Incinerate. Okay, now we're gonna Conflag into a Channel Demon Fire. Extend that Immolate just a little bit longer. We're gonna Chaos Bolt double. We're gonna get Immolate going. Okay, I'm gonna Incinerate just a little bit. Not gonna Conflag just yet, because I do have a Soulfire coming up. We're gonna Conflag. And then we're gonna Conflag into a Soulfire. And then we're going to Chaos Bolt here into a Channel Demon Fire. Should all get off before Roaring Blaze drops. It did. Chaos Bolt into Incinerate. 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 Recomplag to get Roaring back. Chaos Bolt. Incinerate. 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 We're going to Conflag here into a Chaos Bolt to reapply Eradication before Channel Demon Fire. There we go. That is the playstyle. It's doing about 54k. This target dummy does take increased damage. It's 25%. But basically, let's take a look at the breakdown here. Alright, so the breakdown is Chaos Bolt is doing 34.1%. That's actually not too bad. The damage is inflated just a little bit. It's not too inflated, but if you took off the damage amp from the training dummy, Chaos Bolt's hitting for about 110k. Incinerate is doing 16.5%. If you take off the damage amp, about 25% less. Incinerate's critting for about 49 to 55k. Channel Demon Fire, like I said, once you get used to it, it's not too bad. It does do quite a bit of damage, so it's definitely worth taking in single target. It's doing 11.2% of your overall damage. The bolts actually do a lot of damage, especially with the Roaring Blaze up, and it's just nice to extend your Immolate so you don't have to keep recasting. I think having to recast Immolate a lot is quite annoying. Immolate doing 8%. Your Conflagrate is doing about 7. Depending on crits, if I were to crit more, because I only crit for 10%, but if I crit more, I've seen on some testing that this has done about 8 to 9%, so maybe just a little bit bad RNG. Fell Meteor is the Trinket. We'll go over that in a second. Pet's doing about 3.4%. Not too bad. Soulfire is doing about 3.3%. But just to note, this is not being portrayed really well because we're not actually in the execute range. So the problem with that is, in execute, a decimation makes it to where when you incinerate and conflag, your Soulfire CD that it currently has is reduced by 5 seconds. So in an execute situation, the rotation changes quite a bit. You're basically weaving Soulfires in between your Chaos Bolts, and then playing around with your conflag uptime can be a little bit more difficult. In a later video, I'll go over the execute guide and the best way to play decimation, but for right now, we're not going to get into that. We're just going to talk about the single target, like, overall build, right? But decimation is really good. Sadly, it's not portrayed in this guide, so definitely stay tuned, and I will upload another video explaining the execute way. But anyways, let's get back to the breakdown here. I lost it? Where's it at? Is this it? Yeah, it is. So after Soulfire is the Broodkeeper's Blaze. That is one of the pieces that I will be talking about after this, so we'll get into that in a second. Shadow Bite from your pet is doing 2.4%. Not too bad. So basically your pet overall is doing almost about 6%, so it's equivalent to a trinket. This is the depressing part. Infernal and Shadowlands. Yeah, Shadowlands, huge copium, really strange expansion, right? But Infernal is just not doing that much damage. Like, I think they need to buff Infernal, like, just a little bit. I just feel really disappointed with how much damage it's doing. It is good for charge in, and it does give you 6 charges of the crashing, the chaos trait. But overall, I think as a 3-minute cooldown, this should definitely be doing way more damage. The melee from Infernal, like I said, not doing too much damage. I'm honestly not sure what this emulates from, but we're just gonna skip that. Infernal Awakening is when you throw your Infernal down on the ground, stuns and impacts mobs, does about 6,000 damage, so that's not really doing much. Okay, we're gonna go into the gear, the trinkets that I think will be best for a single target and the ones I'm using, and stat priority, as well as the special ring that you definitely want to get from the new raid that's coming in Dragonflight from the Vault of the Incarnates. Alright, so just a heads up, my gear is not fully optimized at all. It's just basically a flat layout of 392 gear with some pretty good crit and haste. But other than that, the things I want to talk about is Seal of Diurna's Chosen. This drops from the new raid, Vault of the Incarnates, and it is from the first boss in the raid. It is a very rare item, but if you do snag this, it basically can do about 3 to 4% of your damage overall, and that is the normal one, right? Like, as you can see, here's normal, here's mythic. It's doing about 60% more on the mythic version, so I would say about 4 to 5% of your damage could technically actually come from this trinket. The uptime is pretty high. Let's take a look. I actually didn't go over that. The uptime from it is not too bad. It's 31%. And it can crit up to 14k with the normal version, and on mythic I would say it probably crits for about 20 to 22k. So definitely something to try to get when the raid comes out as a Destruction Warlock. And then the other item we're going to be going over is Infernal Writ. This is from the new dungeon in the upcoming Season 1 cycle of dungeons. Infernal Writ comes off the second boss called Taliaxi Flame Wreath. Definitely try to grab this when Season 1 begins. Definitely a good trinket. Very good uptime. Let me just show you real quick. Burning Intensity. It has a 61% uptime, which is absolutely crazy. For a trinket, that's insane. Destro scales really well with crit. And overall, probably the best trinket for a single target, in my opinion. Fell Meteor. The damage that I was showing y'all that I'd say I go over. This is the Skull Vault's Trinket. This trinket, in my opinion, is insanely strong. Requires no effort at all, and it is doing quite an absurd amount of damage. It is the 421 version of the trinket, but I think it's a really good trinket, and on single target, it's really, really good. Not sure if it's the best, but on single target, it's very good. Definitely recommend getting this trinket when the Season 1 pool of dungeons actually comes out. This drops from Halls of Valor, from God King Skull Vault. Now, that we have the trinkets and the special items and stuff out of the way, I want to go over stat priority and what you should be aiming for in Dragonflight, like trying to come up. So overall, Destro's toolkit is a bunch of hard casts and basically feels much better when you have higher haste values. At the beginning of Dragonflight, I would say aim for at least a minimum 20% haste, just to get the class like feeling good. And then later on in the tier, I think having around 30% haste, maybe around 420, 425 eye level, is going to feel really good, about 30% haste. But overall, at least 20% haste, I would say. I would say try to get your crit to at least 20% as well, just to get the amps up from your Immolate ticks, generating more fragments on crits, as well as Incinerate will also generate you more soul fragments on crits as well. So crits definitely something good. Also amplifies your Chaos Bolt damage. So you know, crit always a useful stat to prio. Another thing, mastery. Mastery is okay to have, but you're gonna want to be prioritizing crit and haste. Mastery gains a lot of value in this build because we are running Chaos Incarnate. Now, where it loses value is from Roaring Blaze and like the damage amps from Incinerate and all of that, because Chaos Incarnate only buffs your Chaos Bolts, right? It's not buffing your Immolate, your Soulfire, your Conflag, your Incinerate. It's only Chaos Bolt in this build. So Mastery, I would say, is your third option. Versatility. This is your lowest priority. Try to avoid a verse anywhere you can. Sadly, one of our best pieces to use has a lot of verse, so you're gonna have to have it on there. But otherwise, everywhere else, try to get as much crit and haste as you can. If you get haste or crit with the side of mastery, that's completely fine. But overall, the main stats are gonna be crit and haste. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely please consider leaving a like. Besides that, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's supported this channel. To all my subscribers, all of the people that have left any types of like comments below. You guys are awesome. Always here to help. If you guys have any questions, you can ask anything, and I'll do my best to respond and leave a detailed as possible answer as much as I can. But if you guys enjoyed, definitely consider subscribing. I'll be posting more content soon on the beta and when Dragonflight releases. As always, hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you later. Peace.